Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo and to day number 21 of DEPHEMEREMBER. This is an ephemera making December daily challenge that is hosted by 49 Dragonflies and Louisa Heinzel, whom I've linked below in the description box. So today we are working with wax and tea bag labels. So today is going to get a little crazy. I want to show you a couple of different things. So yeah, we may have a hot skillet of wax right here. That might be happening. But the first thing I want to do is kind of a partial thing that I want to show you. So I've also scooped some images from the Glenn Lotes book. If you watched yesterday's video, I'm going to be using more nature images from him. Now I'm just grabbing a big piece of watercolor paper to get myself started. So I want to share with you first what we're going to be doing. So I have this is only a partial little bit of my collection of japs and mark making tools for doing batik on fabric. So the ones from India are very beautiful. They are hand carved wood japs. Essentially, you immerse them in hot wax and then you stamp them down, and that is going to be like a resist to the dye that you paint the fabric with. And so these are commonly used in the making of garments like saris and other things. So I also have a lot of sort of not traditional wax or wooden mark making tools that I use in wax. So this would make a circle, this makes a bunch of dots, and then I do have some Asian, these are made usually in like China, sometimes Japan, different kinds. I use these in pottery as well. These are more mark making tools, not for the wax but for the dyes after you've made your wax markings. So this one is unfortunately totally covered in melted wax. I should probably soak that one in the wax, but I have many beautiful ones that I absolutely love. So that is one there, and this is my gold, what is this? Pearl gold. I've been looking for this forever. Wow, that's where it's been. Okay. What else is in here? So yeah, I have lots of these kind of mark making tools. So what I'm going to do today to just simplify, I'm using one large jap that I want to use to make a really beautiful like tuck spot type piece of paper. So let me get the collection out of the way here. So right before this video, I heated up and melted an entire skillet of beeswax. That's the only wax that I use. So you can see it here. Hopefully you can see that this is wax. It's hot melted wax. So if you're doing anything like this, please be very careful. Please be careful. So what you're going to need are tweezers, and either a metal or even a credit card is fine. So I've got those things sort of sitting off to the side. And then the tea labels. So a lot of the tea I drink is loose tea that doesn't come in bags. So I do have a few things that I grabbed for the tea part of this. So there's some emptied tea bags from like I forget what kind of tea that I've cleaned. And then a rose hip tea label from a local tea company. And then this is a Canadian maple tea, black Canadian maple. So I thought, because I've added so many different kind of Canadian-ish elements into this, that it might be kind of fun to use that. It's the label from a tea bag. And then I have some other things that I want to collage with that are hanging about here. So all of that is going to come in a moment. But what I'm going to get started with is the last technique I'm going to show you. So the first thing I want to do is get my jap here, and I just want to let it soak for a little bit in the wax. Now the immersion point is about not quite halfway up the jap, and that's what you want, because you don't want when you grab this to have to touch that hot wax. It's not fun. So I just have to wait a moment while the wax that is on the Jap is melting. So the images that I want to use today, not for this, but for the next thing I want to show you, is this one of a ring-necked pheasant, and this one of this little bird here in some beautiful pine, both wintry birds. And then the one that I want to use as part of the tuck spot is this one, another lovely bird that's a sketch. So that will come a little bit later. Okay, so let me just check the progress of this here. Let me just kind of hold it upright. There's going to be parts of this, and I apologize that I cannot show you because it would involve getting burned, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so let's just lay the Jap down here. So just lying it down for a moment to see what happens. Okay, not enough. So it's too cool. So that's a test. We're just going to do that. So hold on. Let me just wipe that off. Okay. And then if you want to get like all of this off, it's very easy to just give it a little scrape. And then you can just toss it right back in your skillet. Let me just turn the heat up a little more here, just so we can rush the process along a little. And then the other thing that I'm going to be working on as a base is going to be these nice thick folders. So I wanted something with a nice color and that's firm. So actually, while that's soaking, I might be able to do another step of the process here. Let's see how it goes. So this is going to involve an immersive experience. We're going to actually put this image, the whole thing that we want to use, in the wax itself. So I'm probably going to tear it a little more and give it a bit of a freeform shape. So I need to do that before we use the wax. And the other thing I need to do is immerse any other collage bits that I want to have in the background here. So the first thing I'm thinking about is I have this paintbrush that I use specifically for wax, so it's like all, you know, yucky and waxy. So I'm just going to get a bit of wax and just paint it on here. Now we've got to be very, very quick if we want to adhere this down a little bit. The thing with this technique is that time is kind of the essence. Wax cools very, very quickly. Just have to turn this back down a little bit because we're getting bubbles and we don't want bubbles. Because that means that we're like at a boiling point. So the wax very nicely is sealing down the tea bag. Okay, so this is just to create kind of background. And then I'm also going to just spread a little more across here just to kind of create some streaks. Okay. Now, set this here for a minute. So now I've got the bird. I just have to think about how I want that. And then what else I want over here, because I did grab some collage kind of materials. So the idea here is to just kind of lay out your collage how you're going to want it. And then you're going to do the same thing again once you've waxed everything. So I also have this image from like a book. I don't want to make this too big because this is a stiffer paper. Okay. Maybe a little bit of this. Just sort of simple like that. Okay, so let's lift this up. And the first thing I'll do is I will wax. I need two things to be on hand really quick. So one is the card, and the other is the tweezer. So we're going to use the tweezer. We're going to drop the paper in the wax until it's covered. No need to soak it for very long because, okay, and you're going to get a little bit of extra wax. Don't worry, it's all good. Now you're going to use this to just wipe right over it. Okay. And then you can just scrape the excess back off into your hot wax. Just be careful though, whatever you use, not to contaminate your wax, especially if it's beeswax, because who wants contaminated beeswax? Nobody. So throw this in here quick. And that can go there. And again with the card. Okay, and then our little piece of like measuring tape paper that we've stamped. Okay, and I just missed a little spot on that one, so I will go at it with my brush, which is right here. There we go. Okay, now we need the bird. Excuse me. Birdie into the wax. There we go. And the card to just flatten it out. Now you can build several layers here. I mean, if you're doing the front of, if you're doing like a front cover of a book, you can build several layers of this cool like wax, different things. So this one, I'm going to call it finished for now. We're going to set it aside and work on, maybe I'll try doing the Jap again. Let's see if I can do this. This might not work. I've never tried using a Jap on paper before. This one is also very hard to lift. Okay, there we go. I got what I wanted. Okay, now let me just set this down in a safe place. Okay, there we go. So this is just going to take a minute to dry, but this is exactly what I wanted. And while that's drying, we can work on the second of our collage pieces. So this time we're making this pheasant, and I want to again use a bit of the same papers to just decide how we want to do this here. Just tear off the edge of this one. Oops. Okay. On that side too a little bit. So if you hear my dog snarfling over there, he is hanging out with me again today. A little bit of this. Oh, and our tea labels. I didn't use a tea label in the other one. Okay, let me think about that. I think I will use the small one on that one maybe, and we'll use the Canadian maple one here possibly. Like that. And then I feel like just because it's such a random thing to be adding, that we need to add a little more randomness to this to make it kind of cohesive. So let me grab a few things. I'd really like a sentiment if I had one, but I don't want to take forever here. Literature. Song of a bird. That could be nice. The Song of a Bird. Okay, So I think I'm going to just layer on top of the bird this time, so I don't need to be as concerned about where I'm laying things down. So let me just pop this into the wax here. Get our bird all covered in wax. Now you'll notice this wax, it's not as honey colored as, you know, what you're used to seeing probably with beeswax. And the reason is it's been used a lot. It's older wax that's been used and has a bit of the black wood dye that's on the japs, because that's what I primarily use my wax for. This is for batiking. So if you used brand new fresh wax, like the big gigantic chunk I have that's hanging around, you would get a very nice honey color. But we're getting kind of like a gray tone, kind of a taupey tone, which I'm okay with. Just gonna get the extra wax off my card and drop it back in here. I try not to waste beeswax because it's beeswax. Okay, so now we'll drop the elements. I have to say, I really love how the stamped paper, it's stamped natural paper. I really love how that's coming up. It's like the stamp itself is like a blue tone. Like it starts like this, but it really changes. Oops, let go. Okay. Turn that a little so I can drop it without touching the skillet. There we go. Okay. Now we'll take the tea label next. This one I've got to be a little quick about because it is backed with a little bit of plastic. Okay, and then the measuring tape bit. Maybe up here. Okay. Excuse me. Anything else we want to do? Maybe this. Really brings out the stamping on the paper. I love that. Then I might just, excuse me, cover up a little bit of the tea label. That would be my alarm. Okay. Just sort of cover this a little so we don't have all of the... Okay. So now we'll just come back really quick to this one, and we need to add the tea label to it. So I'm just going to douse even this in the wax for a moment, get it covered. Probably drop it right there. If it will stay, I don't know. It might not. It might need a little bit. Let's see. Get a little drier now, so I think actually it's going to be fine. Good. Okay, now we will get the excess wax off right there. Just scrape it off. Okay. All right, I think we're done with the wax. Excuse me. So I'm just going to let this stuff cool down for a moment, turn off my wax, put it safely away. Actually, no, I can't do that quite yet. Hold on. I need my watercolor back, my watercolor paper. So the other aspect of this that I wanted to include is this bird image. So I just have to tear around it here to make it smaller because we don't want such a huge image. We don't want to cover up all of the wax. All right, so yeah, I think I want that about there. So we're going to drop that in too. There we go, right there. And my card. Let's get all that excess wax off, and I'll try to scrape it actually more toward the bottom so I don't mess up my image. Okay. Okay, good. Now, I'll just get this excess wax off here. And I think we are now officially at cleanup time again, like I promised. So let me clean up. I will be right back. Okay, so I am back and I have my watercolors here in my little squirrely box. I'm going to use my koi watercolors today, I think, just for simplicity. So what I want to do essentially is just do some watercolor inking over this because the wax has given us this nice resist here with this leafy and floral print. So that's what I want to do, is just kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. So we're just going to get a little bit of green. We'll start with the leaves. We'll just mix a little green here. And then essentially you're just going to roughly fill in the things you want to be green. Then we'll decide what color we want these flowers to be. So this is a mostly winter kind of journal, and I think mostly what succeeds in terms of flowers around in the winter time, they start to look a little brown and yellow, but they're still there. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'll do here. And you can see I'm just kind of messy brushing this. Just making some kinds of like orangey tones just to go around here. This is also kind of like reminiscent of sticks and things that you would find in the environment at this time of year. We can mix a little into the green because obviously things aren't staying super green. Then I think I also want to add an element of a bit of blue sky above it. Just up here, just kind of blending in that rusty tone. Okay. And then I want to add another bit of green here, and I'm going to just kind of bring that around the bird a little bit. And then keep in mind, this is all waxed, so not a whole lot will show up here, but I'm just going to kind of drag it around. You can see how it will just bead right up on the wax. It does not stick to the wax at all. So I think that's what we need for this piece, is just literally, I think that's done, I think, for me. Maybe just a little more on that green that I haven't used yet here. Yeah, okay, done. So we can put our watercolors away, and then we'll let that dry a little bit, and we'll move back over to the other ones that we were working on. Put our watercolor brush back here. Okay, so this can dry a little. I just remembered I forgot to put the Song of a Bird on here. Okay, so these are dry. The nice thing about them is they have a nice texture, but they don't feel like it's coming off on your hands or anything. And they're not going to stick. They're not sticky. So actually they're like the anti of sticky. Now, if you don't like the feeling of wax, like wax paper, or like the you know, those bags that you can make to keep your food in that are like, instead of using a foil or a plastic wrap, if you don't like that feeling, you can add like a cornstarch baby powder, or like something. Don't use talc, nothing talc, it's dangerous, but like any kind of a powder. I would recommend literally just a cornstarch baby powder if you don't like the feeling of it, but it's not going to stick together like Mod Podge does. You actually can use wax to prevent that whole problem. So now I just need to decide what I want to do with these. And I sort of feel like, because of the thickness of the paper I chose on purpose, I want these to be like the something that you would put in like a part of the journal that is like in the front pocket or on the cover maybe, or like a pocket even, because they're a little more sturdy. So I'm just going to sort of try to trim this with these scissors. This is really thick paper. And you don't need to use paper this thick. I just did because I wanted a more firm base for the wax. I didn't want to have any issues like doing a demo with any safety problem, like the wax getting through a thinner paper. So I just say do a test of anything that you would plan to use before you use it. Okay. The thing about using thicker papers too, though, is that you can always peel them apart. Like the back, you know, these are built in layers, this paper, so you can actually peel it if you feel like, oh geez, what I did is way too thick here. Okay, peel it apart. See, so then you have a thinner piece. I don't know if I want to do that yet, just because I don't know what I'm going to do with this piece yet. So I'm going to leave it sturdy, because that it will depend on where I want it to go. So for me, I feel like this piece is done. It is not that complicated, but I mean, when you look and feel, it feels a lot more complicated, just because, you know, it's not often that we see this kind of thing. So that's that one. Then this one, I'm going to cut in a more freeform type shape. I could see it being like a freeform style pocket. I just don't want to lose all of this. So I just want to make sure I keep everything I intended to add there. And then go around the bird. Okay. I'm going to keep these pieces too. These are really fun. These could go actually in the same journal, like as these really rough kind of pieces. So I'm just going to kind of cut down what I won't use, like that maybe I don't need. We don't have to keep everything. Okay, so those I'll keep because I definitely could see myself using them. All right, so now we have this and this. If you are the kind of person who likes to stitch on everything, this is the one thing I'd say probably don't do, because you're going to possibly gum up your needle, and who wants that? No one. Okay, so now this is just going to need a little bit more time for drying, so I'm just going to give it some time, and then I will come back and show you what we do with this. I mean, this would just be beautiful in a post-bound journal, literally just as a page. I think that would just be gorgeous in a 3-hole bound or a post bound journal. But what I'm thinking I want to do with it is like tear around it here, and it would be like a tuck spot. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, hopefully that shows you how easy it is to just work with watercolors, and you know, the colors, how they blend, and what the wax can do for the whole thing is pretty cool, right? So that is what I'm doing today. I could like wait and let this dry and tear it out, but I will instead put it up on Instagram. So you can check out my Instagram. I'm Studioloo there as well. I would love it if you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't yet, as well as followed me on Instagram. I'd also love to see your work if you're a paper artist. I've been, you know, meeting so many people through this challenge, and I've really enjoyed, thank you for all of the kind comments. You know, people in this community are so kind and wonderful. I have experienced nothing but like nice people. So I'm still in the lucky I'm still in the lucky people who are at that level where, you know, the scary people don't come out to tell me what a terrible artist I am yet. So I'm still okay. So I hope you have a really wonderful day, and thank you again for joining me for this. I really had fun. It was nice to take my wax out. I haven't done that in a while. It's making me want to get working on some fabric or something. But that's today, and I will be back tomorrow. So we're getting very close to the holidays. You can find all of my information down below about social media and whatnot, and I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.